Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is my Dead Space Impossible mode, no damage plus restricted run. Restrictions are in the description for anybody that wants to do this project themselves and take on this challenge. And we're on Chapter 11, Alternate Solutions. So this room is a very difficult room, and a room I do not enjoy very much. And it's just because there is a lot of enemies to kill, and I don't have much ammunition. If I had a lot of ammo coming in here, I would have liked this room a ton because it's a big fight. But as it stands, I have to play a bit like a bitch, and I'm not a big fan of playing like a bitch, even though it is very effective. So the idea of this room is you have to move the marker through the central area. And when you do that, enemies are going to spawn in. But the major enemy here who's problematic is these huge tentacles. And I don't remember the tentacles in this game at all. I think they're something to do with the hive mind, the final boss creature, the large necromorph. But I'm not entirely certain. And they turn up quite a lot towards the end of the game. And they take an absurd amount of damage if you try to kill them. And in this video, I think I'm going to kill one, which is a mistake. I don't recommend doing that at all. Because you can use them to your advantage and you can avoid them. However, at this moment, I'm a little bit frustrated with the run when I'm recording. And I'm sick of not being able to fight, so I wanted to try and kill as much as I could, and I wanted to manipulate the game in several ways to allow me to do so. So at the moment I'm going to use these exploders to try and take out some of the enemies, and that's going to spawn the tentacle. So you see him? So the thing with the tentacles is, if you can do this right, they will kill necromorphs. So if you stay where the tentacle slams, and you get the necromorph to come to you, you can stun the necromorph and the tentacle will just kill him. I didn't know this at this moment, guys. I learnt that on the final level. So I was respecting these tentacles way more than I needed to. And instead I ended up using the exploder to try and help me out, but the tentacles are what you want to use here. And if you use them correctly, I imagine you could do this room very effectively and save a ton of ammo. That's a necromorph you don't see too often, isn't it? The guy who has the armoured trousers on. I like that guy. But up here, there are two vents up there, guys, and I'm going to be going up to save. That's what that was. I went up, I saved, I came back down. And if you want to play really safe in this room, just go up there and wait for them to come through the vent and kill them on the vent. I'm going to be coming down because I wanted to use as much movement as possible, but it's a really good strategy when things start to overwhelm. But this is what you want to use, this guy here. So if you notice, see where he slams? Right there. If you stand just to the side of where he slams, either side, depending on where the necros are, they will come to you, and then he'll slam them. And I wish I could show you this, because it would have been nice to showcase it other than on the final mission. But that's just not how the recording went, you know? I didn't have that information at the time. But now you do, so you can learn from my mistakes. And there's an enhanced necromorph here. And it would have been really good to use the tentacles on him, but instead I'm going to go up and I'm going to use the vent. And this is probably the fight that I went back and saved the most throughout, because I don't have the tools to deal with this. So I have to be very, very, very selective in how I engage. Like, look how many there is. There's 2 standard slashers with armoured trousers, there's 1 pregnant, there's all those tentacles which at this point I thought I had to kill, and there's 2 enhanced slashers. Like, this is an absurd amount of enemies to kill. But it's not when you use the tentacles. Like, look at this guy. This guy is unbelievably dense. This guy's almost as dense as every scene in The Phantom Menace. And additionally, when you try and pick things up, sometimes you go on that bench, which is really annoying. And I didn't actually show the bench at the end of the game to show you that I'm not using any upgrades, but I think you can kind of tell, right? And I know that people trust me and whatnot, and I could always reload the save and show it you if need be, because it's still on my hard drive. But I don't think we'll get many people that come to this project and be like, oh, you've clearly cheated, you've clearly done this and that, you've upgraded, you've bought all these other things, because the gameplay speaks for itself, doesn't it? My plasma cutter does not reload quickly. My plasma cutter has 10 rounds in it. My plasma cutter does not do a lot of damage, and it fires very slowly, you know? I don't have any other weapons. I'm not using stasis, so it's not like I'm buying stasis refills or anything. I'm not healing because I'm not getting hit. Like, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? And I think that's the best run, that. You know, when you've got a run where you can't hide. Like, that's the problem with YouTube, isn't it? There were so many walkthroughs on YouTube that were lying about the difficulty that they were on. Because it was just the easy way to get views on YouTube, and because... Oh my god, that was it. There it is. There it is, guys. First and only time I touched a bench, that. I finished the game, I think, with 21 nodes, if you're curious. And I did use as many nodes on nodes doors as I could. But it'd be interesting if you could do more with the nodes. I think that would be really nice. I just wish games would give players more tools to do interesting things in them. Like, one of the things I love the most about Kingdom Hearts is that Kingdom Hearts realised that players like to do restricted runs. They realised that people were doing level 1 runs, so they literally created a perk that gives you some benefits for not leveling up. They created a perk that enables you to challenge run their game. And I think that that is the ultimate respect on a player base that a developer can do, because it proves that they're in tune with their community. And there's a few instances like that when every so often the developers, you know, kind of acknowledge what players like to do. Like, look at something like God Hand. In God Hand, when you get the kick me sign put on your back, you can keep that for the full game, and you get rewarded for beating the game like that. But if you choose to do that, you make that game 10 times harder than it already is, and it's already one of the hardest games ever made. And then think of stuff like, I think Bick mentioned a while ago on God of War 2. He did a God of War 2 video on YouTube, a challenge run, and he tweeted it at the director of God of War in God of War 2018, Cory Barlog, and the guy retweeted it, which is really nice, right? He didn't have to do that. That's the type of stuff that shows you that you're in the right job, I think. You're in the right place. It's the same with Hugo Martin with Doom. You know, I don't agree with all the changes that he made, but I do agree with listening to your community and seeing what they say and not being afraid to say that you're wrong. Because one of the worst things about any creative endeavor is when you have a vision in it that refuses to take on everyone else's ideas. Like, there are some people who think that the only good ideas are the ideas gestated by themselves. You know, Steven Seagal's one of those people. And it's a sad situation to be in because almost all of the best pieces of art that have been created have been a collaboration in some way, have been a collection of minds coming together. And I think that's just such a wonderful experience, isn't it, to be part of something more than yourself and have all those creative elements coming together to become greater than the sum of their parts. That to me is what art is all about. You know, it's the ultimate form of collective expression, and it's really cool. But you don't get that when you're like, oh, my ideas are the best and I'm only having what I want, and all you do is stunt the potential of what could be, and then you get really, really specific and weird games. And that's one of the reasons why I think a good director needs a good team and a good producer, and he needs the people around him to support him in the ways he needs to be supported. And those people need a good director to lead them in the way they need to be led. You know, it's such a collaboration. And here's the next spawn, by the way. I think right now you can just skip this room, and I'm definitely tempted to do so because I wasted a ton of ammo in this room. So look at me just running past everybody. I hate to do it, guys, I really do, but you know, shit's getting dangerous, and I have to plan for what's coming rather than what's happening. And I was really scared here that they're going to cut me off in this vent, but I don't think they do. And it wounds me to run away from a fight, but there I go, tail tucked firmly between my legs. There's me hitting the save point to bank the progress, and now we come back to the first room of the game. Although technically the first room is on the ship, isn't it? And this is a really cool fight. I had an amazing run in this room, and then at the end I got whacked. I wish I could have salvaged that run because I was kicking ass, dude. And these are all low-level slashes too, so they go down really quick and they feel awesome to kill. This is one of the reasons I'd love to do an enemy redesign in this game and do like a remix or an arrange mode where I can change the encounters and change what you fight and change the waves and everything. Because taking on a ton of Necros that are weak and feeling really powerful but also like completely overwhelmed is such a cool feeling. And then the big enhanced guy turns up and ruins everything. There you go. See you later, buddy. But this corner's really powerful if you put your ass in it. If you sit down here and you just defend, there's nobody's going to get past you if you can aim. And then you've just got to finish this dude off and hope you've got the ammo for the next room. Oh, and there's another one as well, and there's another enhanced one. Gosh, the enhanced guys move so quick too. Did you see him run then? What a terrifying monster. It makes me wonder why this game hasn't got any kind of randomizer or any kind of weird mods like that. Is it too hard to do? Is it not, like, conducive to those tools? I'd love to play a randomized mod. I'd love to play, like, a crazy enhanced mod, you know, where every enemy is an enhanced necromorph. Like, can you imagine changing every enemy into, like, a twitcher? Can you imagine all the, like, twitchers appearing in other places than the final area and the ship you go to? That would be crazy. This room's really cool. I like this room a lot, but it must be said, for such a big space, they don't really fill it with many encounters. So there are a lot of lurkers to begin with, admittedly. There's like 5 of these guys, which is quite a lot. I recommend here, guys, trying to group them together and killing them with like one explosive. If you can do that, you're going to save yourself a ton of time. I didn't actually realize that a bunch of leapers were going to turn up, or I would have saved more of these explosives. And because this was a one attempt, I'm just kind of freeballing and killing everybody I can. And it's not efficient, and it's not the best way to play, but I kicked their ass, so that matters, right? But it could have been a lot better, truth be told. And they give you so many tools in this room to do it. This is easily one of the most interesting rooms in the game just because of the scope of it. It's huge. Like, this feels like the kind of room where you could have taken on a really capable enemy. Like, you know how I talked about, can you imagine if the brutes could fly? This is the room you take on the flying brute. And here come the leapers. So again, if you can hoard the leapers together and blow them up, that's a really good strategy. These guys are so tanky and so dense that they don't go down to a single explosive. And there's a decent amount of ammo in this room too. Any room that lets you move like this I really like as well, because I think it adds an extra dimension. You are no longer the slowest guy in the room. You know, you can do all kinds of crazy shit with this. And Isaac's pretty fast for survival horror standards, but compared to necromorphs, he's pretty slow. And right now, there's just a bunch of these black leapers just having problems with the wayfinding. One behind there, there's one just there, do you see him? Lots of boxes though, I could definitely use some of the boxes here. Instead I'm going to take his arm, because when you take their arms they tend to be a little bit more pliable. Because they don't get access to their full moveset as well. It's one of the good things about this game, limiting an enemy's abilities. He needs to stop though. But did you see what I did just then? I think that's the best way to kill leapers, that. You wait for them to get on the wall, and then when they jump at you, if you take one of their limbs in midair, it seems to kill them instantly. And I only noticed that towards the end of this project, and I don't know if I ever knew that, or if I've just got really lucky with my shots. Who knows, that might have been the guy that I got hit with the explosive barrel, but it seems like you get some kind of modifier hitting them when they're really mobile. And if that's the case, I think that's the best piece of design potentially in this game. But it's something I'd need to test a little bit more, and I'm definitely going to be looking for that type of stuff in the remake. Because the remake scares me in so many ways, and it has nothing to do with horror. Like, they showed a footage of the introduction of the Infector in Chapter 2, where he infects that captain, and you saw my fight. I take on 2 enhanced necromorphs, and I mag dump a window. It's very exciting, it's very immersive. Well, they've turned that into a cutscene now, because nothing is more tense and scary than watching a cutscene as opposed to being in the room when it's happening, you know, in real time. And I just don't understand anybody that wants that moment to be replaced with a fucking cutscene. It just sounds like so counterintuitive to what made Dead Space so great. And the cutscene's really long, and then afterwards it spawns you facing him and you have to fight him point blank range. So I'm going to be really concerned in what they've done as far as the stunning and the weak points and things of that nature, because if they really want to update the game and give it this illusion of a modern game, I'm so worried that it's just going to turn it into some slapstick bullshit. But that's the end of Chapter 11, guys. I will see you in the finale. Thank you for watching, and you take care now.